All right, ready to go here. Real Kyper and Bourne show, Leaf edition hour. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, and Jake the Snake Schultz. Ready for action, Halloween action.
A ghastly, ghoulish hour. What do we got some stuff up?
We are live on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus. The Toronto Maple Leafs drop a 4-3 overtime decision to the Boston Bruins at TD Garden as they head into Winnipeg, where they are unbeaten in 8-0-0. And as I look at our set, as we get ready for Halloween, I can't help but look at this skeleton to the left of me and think, that's a Leaf fan right now.
That's the last Leaf fan to have been happy.
You know what that actually is? That's the memory of Monday night against Tampa. That's what that is. That's the goodwill from Monday.
Last Monday, we came in a week ago today, and boy, was it a different day. Fresh off, no, not even fresh off the Tampa. They played them.
They played them on Monday
night.
Last Amazon game. They beat I guess it would have been they lost to the Rangers, but a good effort.
Good game, yeah.
And then they beat Tampa.
What a week since.
Tonight.
What a week since.
I can't ever recall seeing, okay, I get it, right? You're jaded as a Leaf fan every year. And then over the course of whatever you need to kind of get over, and then there's going to be some optimism. But it's over a stretch. I don't think I've ever seen it go from one week to another so quickly.
It's like that Red Bull high dive guy, the guy who jumped out of like space, just straight drop.
Something Baumgartner, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. But no, it has been a free fall. Total Tom Petty free fall over the course of the week.
Okay, so where were you on Saturday night after the game? Because, and we'll get into what we saw, but I saw a winnable game for the Toronto Maple Leafs Saturday night.
I will say often, and when the Leafs are like kicking the crap out of a team, you'll be like, this team's terrible. But they weren't even kicking the crap out of Boston, but you still felt pretty consistently like that was not a good Bruins team.
No. And I thought they've got some issues. Speed for me is an issue. A little slow on the back end for me is an issue with the Boston Bruins. Swayman looked pretty darn good, though.
Yeah.
And much like Stolarz has, I thought it was kind of toe-to-toe there, but Swayman ended up making one or two bigger saves. And was that the difference?
Just two 96-point teams duking it out, in your opinion, or what?
I thought that was a sign for me that the Leafs could go in there and still find a way to get 2 points. Even going in overtime, you felt like the Leafs find ways.
Yeah.
Like they're one of the best teams in the league the last 2 years when pulling a goalie, going 6-on-5. And like, I don't know what Boston was thinking. Like, the most dangerous player is going down 200 feet, full steam ahead, and you've got nobody near him.
No. I will say. Go ahead.
You're going to give Tavares credit for the
what
pass.
A play.
The pass that Tavares made
and
opened
the one
up
that
the
Marner
whole thing.
made.
Maybe one of the best passes I've seen Tavares make
100%.
in like years.
Full cross ice, and all of a sudden things opened up, and the Bruins got stretched, and give Mitch Marner the puck, and the D is stretched. He's going to find a seam. So beautiful goal. But yeah, the problem was for most of that game, it felt like that over-reliance on the first line was back. And I'll give you the analogy of like what I see Craig Berube and even Tree Living going through a little bit is like, when you lose something and you're looking in all these different spots in the house and you can't find it, and then you ask someone else, hey, have you seen this? And they go look in the exact same spots first. Like, oh, have you tried here? Have you tried there? They're doing all the same things. We have the answers. It's like they haven't seen it yet.
Buddy, that's my every day in the fridge. It's like, it's not here. The ketchup's not here.
Yeah.
And then it's like, the ketchup's there.
Right. But this is the thing. Like, I'm watching Berube go through the same. Yes.
Ketchup isn't there.
The ketchup isn't there. I'm watching Berube go through this and be like, what if we tried Tavares with Nylander? And it's like, we did this. I know you weren't here, but we've done this. The Leafs have done this. What about if we do Riley off the first power play? We've tried it. Do you want a thought in before we go to listen to Craig Berube?
I think that game was closer to Blues and Blue Jackets than people will think it was. Like, there was long stretches in that game where
Yes.
Like, listen, the Leafs have amazing skill, and it showed out with Marner was unbelievable, 3 assists, Matthews scores, Nye scores 1. But there was long stretches of that game of blah, of nothing.
No, the third period, buddy.
It was brutal.
The third period alone was like they didn't deserve a point.
No way.
But Boston kept it still winnable for them is my point that I had off the top. That somehow, some way, they could have ended up with 2 points. But what did they have? 2 shots on goal when the game mattered. And then, they pull the goalie and they find a way to get a point.
Mm-hmm.
But
they got a lot of guys who aren't, beyond that top line, who it's like, you're waiting. They're back to playing Nylander 18 minutes. And it's like, this is a guy who needs to play to be in the game. We've done this.
all right. Go to a Kipper's Clipper
We're about to do
to
it
start off our week on a head-scratching Craig Berube overview.
Yeah, it was a tight game. We battled back and got the tying goal. So it's a good, hard-fought point. There's things we can do better, and a couple of mistakes in the second period. We just got to clean those up.
Pretty.
Habits take time to break.
Hard fought.
I don't think he's holding them to a high enough standard.
Hard fought point. It's just a Babcock era Leafs trying to
He's
get
used to being on middling teams, and this is a middling team.
I do find it a little perplexing that he could call a timeout earlier in the season when they were up 5-1 or 5-2 and send a message.
Yeah.
But we haven't got really any message sending since then.
What was the meme you showed me before?
about the Sheldon Keefe thing.
Yeah.
About like the Scooby-Doo meme where he just pulls off the mask and it's actually Sheldon Keefe.
Does it feel like
the same guy?
Does it feel like a Sheldon Keefe team right now because of what you're talking about with
It feels like an early Sheldon Keefe team when he was learning that you had to play Nylander to get him engaged, and Tavares and Nylander don't work, and that it does feel like a Keefe team, just an early version of them.
Or does it just feel like maybe it's just the Leafs?
Well, maybe it's this core.
This group of guys. Like I saw, I don't know who it was that tweeted out, but their starts over the last 9 games every year. I think outside of, was it last year? They're 4-4-1 every start of every season.
5-3-1 last year. Way
Yeah.
to go.
So it's like they always have these weird slow starts. It's just, do you have with the new coach the ability to pull out of it and get hot?
Right.
Like I'm sure they will, but it's a weird thing that they always start like this.
But we
It's
did
getting
say,
redundant.
and Kip, you said specifically that, there would be some adjustment period with the new coach, and you wouldn't expect them to look great right out of the gates, and that you suspected a slow start.
And they did look great out of the
I know,
gate.
that's why it feels weird.
Right, and that's why it feels weird.
And it's tougher to say 4-4-1 after 9 games. I could have seen it. You would have said I could see it.
If they would have gone through what they're going through now to start, I'd have a better understanding that it's going to take time and that they haven't got the mindset to play the way the coach wants them to play. But because we kind of watched them jump the shark against
they ran
Tampa
it up on
Bay.
New Jersey. They beat up on L.A. They played great against the Rangers.
And they
beat
did it the way
Tampa.
he wanted it done.
And we said, I think they're different.
And he did it the way that you would go, that could work in the playoffs.
Yeah, that for sure.
That's the difference. For me.
I still feel like they have something a little different that could work in the playoffs, just based on Tanev and OEL helping in the back end, and their depth forwards are a little more playoff, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just so lackluster right now. He just does not like Bobby McMahon, eh? Say 8.5 minutes or something on Saturday night?
So the play that he kind of got benched after, or not kind of, did get benched after, was the one Myers throws it up along the dasher. As you both know, one of the hardest plays in hockey, bounce off a stick, lands in the net.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bad play. He's a player that he's trying to, but it's not like he's a 21-year-old guy, right?
No.
Like, he's a big, strong guy. He's supposed to be, but he's talked about him today. Like, he just seems like it's a project for him, but I don't know.
What Berube clips do you want to prioritize here? Because I do want to hear him on McMahon. But
you brought up McMahon. Let's go to clip 11 because he does speak of
And what he talked to him about.
Just like every shift is important, and every situation's important, and just more urgency in his game. And I think he can be a lot more physical than he is. It's he gives it physicality in the skating. You can see the power there and stuff, but it needs more consistency.
That's interesting.
He could be talking to 14 guys for me.
Yeah.
Not just Bobby McMahon.
Yeah. That's interesting because it's almost like he's decided that this is what McMahon should be. And if McMahon is going to be anything different, he's not going to have it. My college roommate was 6'4", and both coaches I had in university just wanted him to be a physical guy, not a physical guy. Great player, but just wasn't the guy the coaches want him to be. And then they take away ice time or opportunity because you're not that guy.
So what's the problem? They're trying to get blood out of a stone?
Right. I don't think McMahon's a killer. I don't think he can hit some guys and knock them over, but I don't think Berube's going to. Maybe he will. Maybe this is what he needs to do. But
so outside of the Bobby McMahon conversation, I think one of the conversations we had a lot over the past few seasons with these slow starts, because we've been on for a lot of these slow starts, and we've had a lot of different conversations over the start of them. Like, are you both confident in the fact that this is going to get hot and take off, and the Leafs are going to be amongst the best teams again? I'm asking you guys if you're confident in that, because I don't think I've been confident in years past, and it's made me look like an idiot. So maybe I'll say that I am confident, but I think I'd be lying if I said that. Kyper.
I'm confident.
You're confident.
Yeah. I do have concerns.
I'm not as confident as I was a few years ago, meaning that, like, under normal circumstances, Sammy, you could look at this roster and say, as is, why not another 100 points, right? Mm-hmm. Is it that much different from years past? Stolarz came out of the gate. Can he give him the type of goaltending along with Joseph Wall eventually that gets them in the same place that they've been the last 4 or 5 years?
The death march to playing Tampa?
Yeah.
I usually say yes, but after watching about a week into it, I think it's a 50-50 coin toss whether or not this team could still, I think they've got the talent, the offensive talent to do it again, but I'm just not sure where the complete mindset in. And at least you knew what it was. And Sheldon bought into that, and Kyle bought into that. Now you got a Craig Berube coming in, and he completely wants to turn this thing around. And if it's old habits that are hard to break and they find themselves wanting to play more in the East and West game, now there's a little bit of a tug-of-war going.
For sure there is.
And in the past, there was no tug-of-war.
No,
we're gonna go out there and outskill them, and we'll win 6-5. Yeah. And we'll continue to be one of the best teams. When we pull our goalie and we need a goal, we'll get a goal.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. So that there's no identity crisis about that.
I don't know where the tug of war is. I don't know. I've been on enough teams where if some star players don't really like the dump and chase or go in there and hit, then chances are you'll hold my attention for a week, maybe 10 days, 2 weeks. But I don't know if I can do that for 82 games.
I think McMahon might be the proxy for this war. He's the guy who would love to carry the puck and drive and do the Sheldon Keefe stuff, and I wonder if he's become the proxy for that war.
But I'm not even worried about him. I'm worried about Willie and,
For sure.
Maybe even Austin. Maybe even Austin.
Yeah. Like can we bend Berube to our will a bit rather than the opposite?
Where are those guys? Like you mentioned off the top, Willie Nylander's minutes are down.
Down 2 minutes a game.
PK in. Now, is he on the first or second unit on the power play?
He doesn't kill it all anymore.
And now he's going to catch the tail end of 40 or 50 seconds if that first unit come off.
This is going to kill Berube. Nylander's one of the guys that makes your team special. You're going to play him 18 minutes in PP2, no special teams? That's not use. Playing your good players less is not the answer.
How does he react to that?
But you're right. I think we have a bit of a struggle here between the players saying, I think we'll do it a bit our way as well. We liked your ideas. We're going to play it a bit our way, though.
Just going back to last week at Tampa Bay, like Berube can go back to them and say, hey, why did it work against one of your rivals last Monday Like, I got proof in the pudding right now. Let's go pull the tape out and let's watch. And watch when you finish checks and Bobby McMahon had a big hit in the corner, and watch the domino effect and watch the energy in the building, for God's sake.
Kip, we talked about this where it felt like at a certain point, and maybe it was the Columbus game, where it's like, it was on a back-to-back, where it's like, can you play that way Berube wants him to over and over and over?
That. We said that.
We did say
even before the bad.
Yeah.
Can you do it over, in February and March?
They came out with that first date effort and energy, and then eventually said, let's just see if we can get away with a couple, because that's really hard to do 82
So that's
times.
the difference.
Couple ghosts of a couple texts. We don't need to, like, I'll sneak in a couple ghosts here.
But I do feel like this helps in playoffs like that. I think that maybe they would be, I still see that it's there.
So goes back to your question. I was just going to end up seeing a 100-point team that can still get into the playoffs quite comfortably, but then be in a position of, what are you going to see style of play? Style of play, that is the big thing for me.
But then is Berube missing this opportunity when they're not doing it his way to give the caller a tug and say, we are.
Isn't a better example than Bobby McMahon, Willie Nylander?
It is. Yeah, it is. You're right.
The good news for Mitch Marner is nobody can blame him Saturday night.
No, he was awesome.
I shouldn't play him 26 minutes and
played 26 minutes though.
over.
Like, that's not awesome.
It's too much.
It's not. And again, it's very Sheldon-like, right?
It is.
26.
This is what I'm saying. We're looking in the same places. We know it's not there.
And that's Craig Berube going, I get it, Sheldon. He's the most reliable guy on my team. It's not Willie, and it's not Austin. It's Marner Saturday night. Killing penalties.
Yeah.
What did Matthews play? He had to have played
24, but he's still 2 minutes behind Marner.
Yeah.
That tells me everything you need to know about the Sheldons and the Craig Berubes of the world when it comes to number 16.
Hey, he is a great hockey player, a tremendous hockey player, and coaches recognize that they can trust him out there. There's no doubt about that. He's a super valuable guy. It's just, we've done this, and it's not the answer. We've seen playoffs with him. We know what happens. We know where this goes. So we can't go the same
from
way.
Marner, 26 minutes, to Willie,
18,
and Willie makes $700,000 more than Mitch.
What are you doing, kid?
No, I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
What are you telling us?
I'm telling you that it's a problem. That's what I'm telling you. It's an issue.
So, we've pretty much called this, though, from the start with Berube and Willie, that if there was ever going to be a situation that this was going to happen with Willie and Berube, and that if there's one guy that is going to butt heads, like, we've been all over this too.
It's the old Austin Powers. It's a power struggle.
Right? All you do is just, my point is, there's a guy that needs a new contract. Right?
Okay.
I don't know. Kind of easy negotiation. I play 26. He plays 18.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people would like to see him go play 26 somewhere else.
Hey, listen, that's an argument for another day, or a discussion for another day. And I'm not here to debate that at all. And, at the end of the day, maybe 16 agrees with you too.
I noticed this doesn't come up very often when he plays terribly, which has happened this year several times.
Listen, he has stunk on a few occasions.
For sure. Yeah.
I stink.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you right now, if Mitch Marner coughed up the puck like your captain 34 did Saturday night, the whole world's blowing up on him.
For sure.
Again.
I think there's a whole
34 does it? Yeah. Did it even get mentioned Saturday night what a horrific giveaway that was?
Yes! Of course it did. Every person in Toronto mentioned it.
I did a 35-minute postgame show and talked about it for 5 minutes off the top.
But there's like no, that's not even close to if Mitch or even to a lesser degree Willie did it.
Yeah. I think it's a reflection of public sentiment to those players.
I think it's a reflection of a market that's kind of coddled Austin Matthews a little bit. He's been pretty well.
But how does a market coddle anyone? Like I feel like he has signed contracts early and easily.
Yes.
And it's
there you
like,
go.
and it's
Easily.
like,
Easily.
yeah. And so everyone's like, okay, this guy seems to want to be a part of this.
And now he's got a little bit of adversity.
Yeah.
And now he's gonna have to work hard now.
For sure.
He's gonna have to kind of dig himself out of it.
I think everyone is fairly disillusioned with the whole package.
I got to tell you, I don't think this is purely Marner here, Cap, for the past 9 games. I think this is the whole kit and caboodle. I think this is from...
It's always, my point is, it's always been the whole kit and caboodle. Okay? But it's easy
the same cast of
to blame 16 the most when it's all of them. And are you going to hear and debate that the share of blames in the last few years has always gone with the 4 of them?
No.
Who's taking the brunt of it the most?
Marner's definitely taking the brunt of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well-deserved or not well-deserved?
At times, well-deserved.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
You know,
Little from column
But
A,
he's led
a little from column
he
B.
leads the team in scoring. He plays the most minutes.
But not from game 5 to 7. We've done this a million times. We're getting bogged down.
okay.
It's like not from
It's all
game,
right. I'm
not in
just
the
saying.
biggest games he hasn't. And that's
Now, to me,
where people get pissed
you
off.
know, you're the captain. You're going into Winnipeg. He's got...
just to me, like, what are we even talking about right now? Like, why we're relitigating Marner's
No,
value versus Matthews'
we're not.
value
No.
like every damn day?
We're not. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't get picked up, right? And it's part of the problem.
But it's this like hurt feelings that Matthews doesn't get
It's
treated. It's
not
two
hurt
kids,
feelings.
and going to their parents and saying he got a bigger
it's
piece of
not
cake than I
about-
did.
It's not about hurt feelings. It's about, like, Matthews has got to start owning it a little bit. When that guy, it's everything falls from the top to the bottom in a dressing room. That guy needs to own it more. The moment that it gets acknowledged that, you know, he's got to be better, and that includes the head coach right now, Berube, start with Matthews or start with Willie, not McMahon. Go make them an
I think
example
that's a great
first.
point.
Okay?
Absolutely. And this is why it's like, I'm disappointed that the accountability coach hasn't done any accountability so far. That was supposed to be the non-Sheldon change, right? Like, this is the guy who's going to come in and grab these guys by the collar, rough and tough. Matthews is going to win a Selke this year. It's like, God, have you ever seen him look worse defensively in some of these games?
No, but I think some of the accountability, quote unquote. I mean, if you were the guy that you just signed to a massive contract at the peak of his powers is playing 2 minutes less a game, that's some accountability, I would say. I'd say that's a guy that he doesn't trust defensively and he's playing less, and like that's a pretty big sign of accountability.
Yeah,
and
to
then,
me that's misuse, but I get your
yeah,
point.
but you're overplaying other guys. Like it's just like Marner was good on Saturday night, but you don't need to play him 26 minutes. Like they're them on the penalty kill.
But
They're
if
just
you don't
playing
play
too much.
26, maybe it's worse.
Yeah, but
I don't disagree. I think it
Maybe it's
probably
worse.
is.
well, I mean, if it's
nothing behind those guys right
if it's
now.
Wall or Hildeby, that game could have been 8-2. So, you know, Stoller's made a bunch of unbelievable saves in that, including robbing Marchand in overtime before he dug it in.
Yeah.
So
Okay, power play. Let's go there because still a major issue here. Where are you on the 2 units now going into Winnipeg?
So we got Nyes with Matthews and Marner. Sorry, where's the other unit? So it's Matthews, Marner, Riley, Pacioretty, and Tavares. Is that right?
here, I'll read it out to you.
All
I'm
right,
just
let's
gonna-
have it.
It's the PP1 is Morgan Riley at the top.
Yeah.
Marner, Matthews, Max Pacioretty, and Matthew Nyes.
And Nyes, okay.
And PP2 is Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Willie Nylander, Max Domi, Bobby McMahon, and Tavares.
So they're trying it. They're trying something different. And that's the one place where it's like, have you looked in this place? We haven't looked in this place.
This is a new nook of the home that we haven't searched for your wallet.
Yes. So I'm fine with it.
Who's first over the boards?
I mean,
If you want.
Matthews and Marner.
Anything with
whoever
Matthews
is,
and Marner.
Anything with Matthews and
So
Marner is your first.
he talked about it today, clip 9, on splitting up the power plays.
Well, yeah, it's all about results, right, for the most part. And, you know, we're not getting them, so we got to try something different and a little bit more direct. This should make it a little bit more direct, the power play. And, you know, it's about getting, it's about getting action at the net more. We need to get more action at the net and good net front, strong guys at the net that can win puck battles around there and things like that. So that's what we're looking for with these units.
It's something that we've discussed this past week.
Yeah.
So it can't get any worse.
No, it can't. I
believe I screamed about this on Friday. Maybe he listens to the show.
They can't even carry it in cleanly.
No, their zone entries are just.
Well,
didn't you tweet just give me one hard rim,
hard dump in one time.
What would you say?
You do
here.
They do the play over the boards. It's like over to the sideboards to Tavares all the time on the entry.
and then he's stuck in mud, stationary
At the blue
puck.
line.
Yeah,
And it's just like then all of a sudden you're making maybe the worst passer on the team make a decision and pass.
with his feet not moving, and it's not his fault. He's not skating.
No.
It's at a spot where he's
and it's like,
flat-footed.
let William Nylander carry the puck in. Let Marner carry the puck in. Like, why are you holding it up at the line? Use some momentum. Drives me like, if you're going to do that drop back, the whole point of that is to pick up momentum. Then why do you stop once you get to the line? Like, it feels like they're trying 14 different things at once and none of it's working.
If you're Mark Savard, pretty early in your time here, your ideas are blown up, right? Like they've already said the thing you wanted to do is not working. So that's a pretty early on slap on the wrist from the rest of the staff, I would say.
Listen, he was brought in for this.
Yeah.
Was he not? Like, that's it. He's got one reputation. Power play guy.
Guess so. We have a Berube on why Riley's back on power play one.
That was from, why they put him back out there on Saturday night for Power Play 1. So that's clip 3, please.
Just to see if something could happen, we had the 5-on-3. I mean, there was 2 empty nets, and we just don't put them in. I mean, but it'll come. I'm confident in this team, and they're going to get it going. They'll get it going, the power play.
So something changed between Saturday night where he was confident and then to Monday morning at practice when they've changed it all up. So just two empty nets,
There's not a world where if you don't fix this that you can win or be successple without a decent power play.
No.
There's just not in today's game. And 5-on-5's tough for them too.
They're not producing a 5-on-5
Right.
either. Their offense is lagging. Matthews has 2 5-on-5 goals so far this year, which, he's still creating the highest expected goals at that situation, but 2 in 9 games for a guy who had 70 goals last year, one short, 69 goals. You had 38 even strength goals last year.
I would have probably, before I maybe even went to this 2-balance thing, I maybe would have taken Tavares off and just put Nyes on just to let that breathe for a little while.
Yeah.
Hey, Nyes is like kind of the lone bright spot. I shouldn't say lone. Obviously, Marner was great the other night, the goaltender. But Nyes is like, have you been pleasantly surprised?
Been great.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
He's kind of found another
he's just growing up, and he's physically turning into a man right in front of our eyes. And it's still, trust me, it's still difficult to carry that weight on a team that's supposed to contend for the Stanley Cup on his shoulders as a first liner still. In a perfect world, you like to bring him along a little slower, but it's not like he's buckling. So really, really impressed with his season so far.
Yeah, I'll give credit to Jonas Siegel here. He said Matthew Nyes' shots per game are up a full shot per game from 1.44 to 2.44 per game. I mean, that makes a difference. Grab another 80 shots over a year, you're going to score another, whatever that is, 10 times or so.
We consistently talk about guys not getting to the middle of the ice, and he's exclusively in the middle of the ice.
Yeah.
Like the goal he scores on Saturday night was eerily similar. I think it was the same net to the one he scored in overtime in Game 5 in Boston last year in the first round, where he's just going to the front of the net, picks the puck off. Was it Matthews that takes it to the net, and then it ends up on his stick, shoots it in?
He's in that part of the ice.
Yeah, he's always there. So, but go back to your original point there, Kyper, that you made. That's the right one. That if you're going to, quote unquote, fix the power play, like just try it without Tavares. But
the Tavares thing is getting tough because he's down to 16 and a half minutes per game.
But I think they're probably cognizant of the amount that's been taken away from him this year.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to give him a buddy to go down to the second unit with and Willie, right? Like if you just take him off of there after stripping of the captaincy, playing him 4 minutes less a night or 3 minutes less a night, it's a lot to pile on a guy.
And we're nervous about hurting feelings.
I mean, obviously,
is that what you're
are.
telling me?
That might be my pet peeve.
Right?
I don't know if they are or not, but it would seem that the way
I agree that they're sensitive to it for sure.
Wouldn't they not think about that at all? As an organization?
The answer is yes, and
Okay.
that I find that disappointing.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that there's any chance over the course of this year that they say this just isn't working
Yes.
and approach him?
Yes.
Because he's clearly not a Berube guy so far. Like I said, his minutes are down. He's skating slower, shooting it not as hard, generating less.
Well, the Berube guys are the start. Like Matthews and Marner just play all the time.
Yeah.
Right? And Willie to a lesser extent, and then whoever else makes up the things. But I would argue that it's even worse Team A and Team B than it's ever been right now. Like just how much they're playing. Think about it. Like the defense, it's much better and it's much more spread out. But the forwards, it's never been more Team A, Team B to me.
Well, the vision, of course, including the success that they had really early, was there's some depth there, right? Either Max or McMahon. Holmberg had it going there for a while. They had
Lorentz.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and then the fourth line.
Quiet.
Looked like Matt Sundin in the second night of the year that hasn't had a contribution.
I haven't been down on Ryan Reeves either. Like that guy in that fourth line at times Saturday night, they were in the offensive zone.
Hard,
They found pucks. They kept things alive. Reeves got the puck back to the point a few times and went to the net. That's not Reeves is the least of anybody's worries right now.
No, they just need to, chip in one here or there because they have the odd night where they get scored on. They got to balance that out a little bit. But speaking of those sort of guys, Nick Robertson's coming out tonight. It's a game.
Listen, if he's not producing, it's like next man up.
Yeah.
And you can only say he's working really hard and he's trying his best.
I think I can.
Well,
that can only go so far.
The coach clipped 10 on Nick Robertson and why he's being scratched tonight.
He's been fine. Like, I think Nicky's worked extremely hard. He's obviously hadn't had much puck luck and, just missed shots and things like that. But, he's done a lot of good things. It's just, with Winnipeg tonight, it's a pretty big team. And he wanted some size in the lineup tonight.
Oh, that doesn't bode well for Nicky come playoffs.
Everything. That's it. Nick Robertson hears that. Trade me, right? and hang up. And then hang up.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. Because clearly, if you can't play him against bigger teams, is in the coach's mind, that's not going to go well when it's Boston in round one.
The ultimate kiss of death for any player to hear.
That was actually a really bleak quote.
Not big enough
to play against this team tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that Jets third line. It's one of the best lines in the league, right? Appleton, Lowry, and Niederreiter. And
I think they're 7-0 in terms of goals for and against or something in their minutes.
Where does he match up against that? He's probably going to be playing on the third line. Like Berube's probably watching the tape of them. He's
tonight
like, this guy's going to get eaten
Domi,
up.
Holmberg, is that right? Which is
not great
Domi
either.
Down the middle stuff for me. Should we take a break?
Yeah, take a quick break. And then
we'll take a quick break here and plenty more, including Jake, not our Jake McCabe with a brand new contract. We'll talk about that more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. We're back. It's Real Kyper and Bourne show, Leaf edition. Today, the Toronto Maple Leafs officially re-upped Jake McCabe on a 5-year extension with an average annual value of $4.51 million. We were talking about this extension weeks ago.
Yep.
I figured his marketplace was around $5 million on an open market. So where are you on 4.51?
I love it. I love this contract. I think it's great. I think, like you mentioned, on the open market, he probably gets more money, signs it nice and early, so you don't have to have that sort of headache. And I just think, we talked about all the things the Leafs don't have. McCabe is all of those things. He is a guy with competitiveness and bite whose wires can cross, who kills penalties and runs into people. I also think he skates really well, and he has more offensive upside. He scored 8 times last year. I really like McCabe. I'm comfortable with whatever pair he's on. 4.5, nothing but good things to say.
What the coach says is exactly how I feel. Clip 12, please, Eric.
I think it's great. He's a team first guy, hard defender, hard to play against. He's the type of D-man you want in your hockey team.
Yeah, exactly how I feel. Like he's just, I don't know, for $4.5 million I just, I don't know. He's playing 20 minutes a night for them.
Yeah. Like everyone else, I would prefer it wasn't 5 years long.
Well, yeah, but
to get him to not go UFA, it's kind of what you do.
At this point, do you think Brendan Shanahan or Brad Treliving care whether it's 4 or 5?
Ain't affecting them, is it? They're either winning or they ain't here.
Exactly.
How about you? Guess what, boys? Ain't going to affect us either.
If we're doing this show and he's up for another deal, it would be a miracle.
I think he did them a huge favor.
Yeah. Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's, again, some guys are willing to do it. Some guys aren't. Yeah. But he wants to be here. First of all, he wants to be here. And it's hard to go out there now. And if he leaves and gets another $500,000 more, the bigger question that the Leafs had was like, okay, who do we get to replace him?
Right. Well, that's it. You're going to go to UFA with now, whatever his $4.5 million. TJ Brody, when he came to the Leafs, whatever it was, 5 years ago, his contract was $5 million per year times 4 years. He'd have been 31 or something, somewhere around that. That's the type of who's that? Who's going to sign that deal now? Ekblad's not that. He's going to be way more money. I just can't think of another defender who's going to be UFA who you would replace him with. So likes Toronto and wants to be here. Willing to do it. I understand that this makes them a little bit old on the back end. Riley, Ekman-Larsson, Tanev all here for the next foreseeable future. But I don't think that's a good enough reason to not keep a good defenseman at a good price. So you may have to figure something out eventually. But
I would hope there's a clause in his new contract that says he will stop doing between the legs things below the zone red line. Because he did it against Tampa. No, not against Tampa, against the Blues. And he did it again against the Bruins on Saturday night where he tried to do it between the legs, back pass.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. Yeah. Stop that.
So we've exhausted the forwards in terms of the big line compared to everywhere else. But where are we now knowing that, to your point, Riley, OEL, McCabe, and Tanev are your guys for the next 3 years? Like that's it, right? You're basically locked into those guys. Is that a blue line? Are those 4 guys ready to lead right now to a Stanley Cup between now and 2 or 3 years from now?
Stanley Cup. How about the third round, Kippy?
Okay, then
yeah, I think higher of that group than I think you do. But
I'm just asking you, are you comfortable with those 4 guys now getting you to the Stanley Cup? Because I look at it and I go, not good enough.
Yeah, I agree with you that you look at, they don't have a number 1D. They don't have a guy where you're like, that's the guy.
Game changer.
You don't have Makar. You don't have Hedman. You don't have Quinn Hughes. You don't have...
But they haven't had one of those since Boreas Salming.
Right.
They've literally never had one in my entire life.
Yeah, and they've literally never won since 1967.
Yeah, I know.
That literally might be related.
My dad, I think, was...
So I get, like, for me, I like McCabe too. I'm not saying I wouldn't have signed him at 4.5 because I like what he brings. But on a Stanley Cup team, is McCabe more of a third pair guy or a top 4 guy?
No, I think he's not even close to a third pair defenseman.
Okay.
For me. Not even close. He's much closer to a first pair than a second pair, or than a third pair guy for me.
Like he could play with a Makar, or he could play with...
I think so, yeah. I do. Listen, I'm really high on Jake McCabe. Maybe I'm not in the... I like the way he plays, and I think he's one of those guys who seems to be getting better as he calms down and matures a little bit.
Yeah.
I think he can be a little squirrely at times.
If I'm looking at the Colorado Avalanche who you mentioned there, like, would he be better than Josh Manson or Samuel Girard?
I mean, totally different than Samuel Girard, right?
But in the same conversation,
yeah,
like in that group, like I think he could play on that group.
It's
Manson at
4.5.
Yeah,
4.5.
He's up there. I look at
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it's almost like we take it out on the guys who are here when their deals are fine. It's just they need
4 years, 4.5.
Yeah.
They need another. You need a number 1 guy.
Oh my gosh! But like,
I know
you can't get one now.
right.
Maybe
Right, where are you going to fit him in unless you move
The only
one
thought,
of the 4?
Well, yeah, that's so. After this year, there's no Marner, no Tavares, and the cap goes up. So suddenly, there's 21 million in players, or 22 million in players plus the cap up. You're at 27 million.
So by next year, they'll get their number 1 D and they can really contend for a Stanley Cup.
I don't know. I just said, where do know? You don't get a number 1 D.
You know where you
don't go to the number 1 D store and buy one.
You know where you get them? You draft them.
That's allowed?
And then you wait 7 years, and then they turn into a number 1 guy. And they never have gotten a good draft pick with a defenseman other than Morgan Riley.
Here comes Topi Niemela.
It's like Topi or Roney or one of those guys. It's like, Liljegren was supposed to be their guy. Sandin was supposed to be the guy.
But neither were ever going to be that guy.
Yeah, but I mean, I was sold a bill of goods. I was told they were both pretty good.
So
steals even?
Can you get more flashes of Morgan Riley with the go-ahead goal Saturday night, which was
hammered it.
Pretty good goal.
Yeah, it's a great goal.
Like, how about a few
really
more
good
of those?
D-man. But yeah, a few more of those would be great. I'd like to see him, commit to offense a little bit more. But
this is Craig Berube's dilemma. It's like, isn't it defense first?
Yeah.
And with all due respect to Austin Matthews' giveaway, is that 2 sneezes now in the last week on our show, Sammy? Is it?
Yes.
Just let her buck into the mic.
It was a sneeze. No one would have seen it unless they were watching. It would have been fine. I turned my mic off. I turned away, and you had to just sewer me. Anyway.
Maybe I'm just a little jealous. I want to break my streak of never sneezing on air in 25 years.
You look up into those lights? Nothing?
No, nothing. Okay. With all due respect, the Austin Matthews giveaway.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you saw Morgan Riley on the play slide about 40 feet. He looked like he was on a carpet at Wonderland. He slid 40 feet to try to get back into the play and actually completely took him out of the play for the second or third opportunity in front of the net because Stolarz made an unbelievable save. Now, if Morgan stays on his feet, there's a very good chance that maybe Marchand doesn't get a second or third opportunity in front of the net.
Mm-hmm.
And a guy like Morgan has at $7.5 million needs to be that guy.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen it yet this season.
No, we haven't. He is another one of those guys that seems to be struggling to figure out which guy does the coach want me to be. Everyone is playing physical and straight lines, and Morgan's never going to be different than the player he is. He's not a physical defender. He's a good defender, but he backs off, and I don't know. I like the offensive side of his game. I don't think he's ever going to defend with ferocity.
I know we're not supposed to do 3-on-3 takes because it's not real hockey, but there's something that drove me crazy watching that game. Was why didn't Matthews and Marner come off on that offensive zone draw after they'd already been out there
I'll
for
tell you
a
what
minute?
bothered me.
But if those guys, I know they want to keep their guys out there. It's, they're trying to win the game. They've had good chances, but they've been out there already for a while. It's like, pull them off, get somebody else out there, and then maybe get it for the last. It was too long. They were out there too long. And then Matthews, tired brain, defending for a minute and a half, throws a pizza up the middle, and you lose the game.
We're Team A.
I know.
We get to stay out there as long as we want.
Mr. Big Boy Accountability comes in here. Pull them off. They've been out there for a minute.
I'll tell you what my problem is.
Drove me nuts.
My problem is that when they first get on the ice and they first get the puck, they go, "Ooh, it's 3-on-3 fun time. We can just have it," rather than skating.
I know.
Skate on offense.
3-on-3
skate.
sucks.
Make the D move their feet. Make them turn.
Yeah.
If you're not moving fast, they stay in front of you and nothing opens up. So everyone just has this 3-on-3 basketball thing where they pass it around.
And there's still some guys. There's still some guys that could extend their shift a little bit and still have some juice left in them. Austin's not one of them.
No.
When that guy hits his wall,
Willie is.
he's done.
Yeah, but
he's done.
He's been out there for 2.5 minutes because that stupid offensive. They just pull him off.
Brad
You have no
Marchand
one else
on
who
his
can play-
heels. He could have taken a couple strides and created some separation, tired or not.
All right.
Marner's
drove me
going up
crazy.
to the bench, and Riley's. It's just like Matthews. That was gross.
But like I said, tired brain decision. Where you've been out there defending 3-on-3, you're not thinking, you just throw one up the middle and it ends up in your net.
Let's see what the coach had to say.
Oh, yeah?
Clip 4
Clip 4.
on what happened.
There's someone singing in the back of this.
Okay.
I don't know, someone down the hall He says something good here, but there's someone singing.
All right.
So get ready for that when you listen to this clip.
All right.
I mean, I thought that we controlled it. We had the puck pretty much, and it was a tough play on Austin. Like, we got to support him a little bit better in that play, we just kind of, we left him alone there, and it just, it was a mistake, by everybody out there, and, but, we had some good, two good looks in overtime, so, I mean, it's important. The points are important, right? So, we want to be a good overtime team. We want to be a good 3-on-3 team because they're crucial points.
We got to support him a little better. Yeah.
Great play, Austin.
I'm just saying, though,
it's
that's
like-
to your point. Like, how about, don't stay out there that long?
And how about if you don't have support, don't blindly throw it up the middle.
Well, yeah,
of
he's
your
like,
own zone.
I threw it up, and then I saw no one was there. Have a look.
Listen, again, it's just not Morgan that could have got back into the play quicker. Like, Austin could have jumped in there.
Oh, yeah.
If
Tired.
Stolarz made a save that we should have been talking about for 3 weeks, right?
God, he was
It
steady.
wasn't. It was. He had time still. Matthews also had time to come back, but guess what? He was cooked.
Yeah.
He was done. He was fried because of the length of the shift.
Yeah.
But how about instead of supporting him a little better, how about a second effort to get back in the play after your goalie's made it 2 spectacular saves, and it was the third effort that actually went in.
So he was surprised that the save was made. Just
Yeah.
didn't have any juice left.
That's exactly what he thought it was in.
Right?
Wow.
But that's I think the accountability that you're looking for now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Austin had to say about it, but it's
It was not much.
yeah.
Not much. I put it in there for
I don't know what the Leafs record is in Winnipeg or how many goals Austin's had in Winnipeg, but I always have a feeling like it's good. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Hellowick's pretty good.
Would it not be just like the Leafs to win tonight?
Oh my
I
God,
totally think they're winning tonight.
Well, especially because it's on Amazon, and the Leafs last week on Amazon played the best game of the Matthews-Marner era ever on Amazon. So tonight, and then everybody will be like, "Oh, they can't have it on Sportsnet anymore because it was on Amazon. They only went on it. Blah blah blah. The broadcast. Blah blah blah." Oh,
Austin
hell,
ends up
can't
with
wait.
2 or 3 goals.
Yeah.
I know Patrick Liney's not there anymore, which still is regarded as one of the best nights.
One of the best regular season games ever.
Dueling hat tricks, was it?
Oh, yeah.
I actually smashed my remote that night.
Oh, the Liney OT winner.
Yeah, I came home from watching the Jays lose in the ALCS to the Cleveland then Indians, and I came home to catch the second period on of that game, and they were up. I was cruising. I was having a good time. Line scored. I broke my remote.
That's reasonable.
Like,
good reaction.
Thank you.
I know this is only, the 10th game, but, is it more important to what you see optically than it is the actual score? Or
think
is this just about finding a way to get 2 points?
No, if they get filled in tonight and sneak out some stupid 2-1 win, we're killing them tomorrow. I would like to see. I think this is the crux of our conversation today that I think I would take away is that they're in an identity crisis. That the coach has a way that he wants them to play. They have shown they can play that way and have success, but they don't want to play that way.
In 23 career games against Winnipeg Jets, he has 14 goals, 17 assists for 31 points.
More assists than goals.
The Dishin magician.
And in 35 games against Montreal Canadiens, he has 27 goals. So
And how many assists?
18.
Negative.
And I think his highest output, against the Sens, he just kills the Sens too. Anyways, we're just going to. Guess what? He scores a lot against everybody because he's on pace to have more
Winnipeg's
goals
coming
than
off a
Ovi.
road trip too, are they not?
First game back.
Can they catch him a little vulnerable? Can they catch him a little not ready to come back home and continue the streak? Or do you think they smell a record here?
I mean, in all the years we've been doing this show, how many times have the Leafs lost 3 straight or even 4 straight?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember them losing.
That's the
4
one thing
straight.
about Sheldon's teams.
They
is
snap
that
back
when
pretty quick.
They do have a way to end nights like we've seen this past week.
I expect them to win tonight.
All right. Got some money on that
I
one?
don't know why. I think I will.
Oh, listen, I think it would be totally the Leafs
Zero
style
value.
it
to
would
come
be
back
within
in.
their character.
They're minus 115.
And then our
150?
Hey,
Minus 115.
then Sammy's back all the way.
Go back.
No.
Okay.
Listen, I'm last few games.
I'm even keel, baby.
No. They shook me.
All right. We're just warming up here as we get into our national hour. Sean Reynolds, Sportsnet reporter in Winnipeg, will join us to help tee us up. Don't go away. Welcome in as we go national on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We're live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. In a few minutes, we'll welcome in Sean Reynolds, Sportsnet reporter in Winnipeg and co-host of the Kenny and Rennie with Ken Wiebe.
Mm-hmm. Exciting game tonight, Kip. There's one really good team playing.
A back-to-back
also the Leafs.
Prime Amazon. Get your subscriptions in.
Do you know how to find it? Have you been able to?
Yeah. We got the Prime.
I do.
Yeah, I've had that. Only because
Got the Prime?
Got the Prime.
With the YouTube?
the wife's ordering every other day from Amazon.
Yeah.
So I think it comes with it. Is that the deal?
I think so. I think it's all part and parcel.
I mean, we truly do live in the future. I hold my Flickr, whatever it's called, remote,
Thanks, Canadian guy.
and I go Amazon Prime, and it just comes on.
That's how you find things. Now you just yell at your remote.
Well, I press the button,
I
and I'm
know.
like, whenever I want
Rogers Ignite does
yeah,
that.
it's incredible. When
It
I
is
want to
a
watch
great service.
any sporting event, I know it's on. I don't have to search and go, the New York Yankees, Pop World Series.
It is pretty incredible.
It's very great.
Thank you for
Before
that. A commercial. I love it.
Before we bring in Sean, just like your biggest takeaway out of a Winnipeg Jets team that's been perfect so far this season, is according to the record says.
Yeah, I think I may have overly been concerned about players that they lost in the offseason without recognizing that the parts that made them great are primarily still there. I think what's unfortunate is they have played well early enough in the season, often enough that it's almost like people are going, well, we'll see later, without recognizing that, this is a pretty incredible run and sets them up for what could potentially be a fight for the number one seed, which really changes your chances in playoffs. So they've been great. That third line, by the way, he mentioned in the last hour is unbelievable.
Well, and the third line is captained by Adam Lowry, which typically isn't left to a role type of player, but so far it's working well. Let's welcome in Sean Reynolds, and maybe we'll start there. Sean, how are you? Welcome to the program.
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Are you as perfect as the Jets right now?
That hat is perfect, and I'm not even joking. That's a perfect Spurs hat.
Yeah, I love the Spurs hat. That's about the only perfect thing about me, though. So and the team that I cover. That's about it.
Okay, so yeah, we'll get into Adam Lowry right now, but overall, just your thoughts of coming out of training camp, and if you had to pick one team that could have been perfect up until this point, it probably wouldn't have been the team that you cover. Correct?
Yeah, I wouldn't have had that, but in retrospect, it actually makes a lot of sense. Borno was talking about it and talking about he may have misjudged by the guys you lost. When you lose Sean Monahan, when you lose Brendan Dillon, when you lose Tyler Toffoli, it sounds disastrous until you remember that the vast majority of the season, the Jets were one of the teams competing to be the top team in the NHL with this exact same forward group that they're icing right now. And then on the back end, yes, you lost Brendan Dillon. The other guy, Nate Schmidt, who you lost, was one of their basically their number 7/6 guy last year. So what they lose really isn't that big of a deal. What they gain essentially is the consistency that a lot of other teams don't have. Like the Nashville Predators are trying to bring in, a new core, right? They're trying to augment their core, and that takes some time for guys to get to know each other and guys to get to know what they need to do in those big situations on the ice. The Winnipeg Jets, this is just business as usual for a team that was very good at their business last year. So they roll in here. They've got, they know who they are. They know what they're supposed to do. They know what the guy beside them is doing. There's consistency here where the rest of the league doesn't really have that to start the season. And on top of that, you've got, a group that I mean, knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and they're doing it in their first 8 games. And guys, I bring this up not because I'm trying to pour water on this. It's just part of the overall picture. But if you would have looked at the Jets' schedule coming in, 7 of their first 8 games are against teams that missed the playoffs last year. And their first game that they had against the team that did make the playoffs was the Edmonton Oilers, who we all saw fell flat on their face coming out of the gate and was not ready to start. So I'm not saying that this is the entire reason. The Winnipeg Jets are playing really good hockey. They are winning games. They are better night in and night out than the teams that they are playing. But if you would have looked at this schedule, you would have said this is the kind of schedule you'd want the Jets to make hay on. Maybe you would have thought they'd be 6-0-2. Maybe you would have thought they'd be 7-0-1 or 7-1 or something like that. So it's not outlandish that they're 8-0 with this schedule, and it's not outlandish because this is a team that, again, knows who it's supposed to be and has all the consistency in the world, because not a lot has changed.
Yeah, it literally was the question I was going to ask you, is about the schedule, which looks softer, but then, we cover the Toronto Maple Leafs, who just got destroyed by Columbus the other night. So, they're NHL teams that they're beating. You still have to handle your business, and they've done a great job of that. From the outside looking in, it looks like they've gotten good performances from some D-men on a D-core that a lot of people are like, I don't know, is that a good D-core or not? DeMello's playing a lot of minutes. Pionk's been pretty good. He's had 10 points in 8 games. Looks like that D-core holding up so far.
Yeah, well, DeMello got paid like a number 2 defenseman because when you put him beside Josh Morrissey, that's exactly what he is. So he's not a guy that you're looking at. He's a very good defensively. He competes. I don't know that there's anyone who's stolen more pucks off the line. Like Dylan DeMello is Connor Hellebuck's best friend because he's probably stopped 9, 10, 11 goals that should have been in last season. So he's going to do his job. Josh Morrissey, we've been saying this loud for a long time, I think is very solidly one of the top 5 defensemen in the entire NHL. The one here that really stands out is Neil Pionk, because a lot of people thought with Brendan Dillon leaving, his game would maybe go down. He struggled at times last year, but he's from the same hometown as Dylan Samberg, who steps into Dylan's role. They worked with each other in the offseason, got that consistency with each other that you would have expected him to have with a Brendan Dillon. Guys, his heart was ripped out because his best friend died tragically last season, so he wasn't the best version of himself. And I was talking about this earlier today when Rick Bowness came in and changed this team's philosophy into being a defense first. Neil Pionk before that was an offensive defenseman that maybe wasn't the strongest defensive defenseman. This is year 3 of him working into that system, and he's finding the balance between playing that system that he's being asked to find or to play now and rediscovering that offensive flair that he had before that. So it's kind of everything's coming together for the Winnipeg Jets right now. And remember this, last year, everyone looked at this defense core and thought that they weren't going to be a capable defensive team. And they go out and allow less goals than any other team in the entire NHL. So the system is key. The defensive philosophy is key in Winnipeg. And it probably shields a lot of things about this defense core that, keep in mind, guys, I know you talked about it a little earlier on, probably got exposed during the playoffs last year. And who knows, that it becomes the litmus test for this team going forward. The defense doesn't look great on paper, didn't catch up with them in the regular season last year, caught up with them in the playoffs so last year.
We're talking to Sean Reynolds, who does a terrific job here at Sportsnet covering the Winnipeg Jets. Key matchup tonight as the Jets try to continue an unbeaten streak against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Sean, where does the power play of importance come into play here to start the season for the Winnipeg Jets? Because they're playing a team tonight that can't basically carry a puck in a bucket right now through the neutral zone on a power play. What have you seen so far out of that power play that has played such a key role of winning the first 8 games?
Well, it was their weakness last year. Their special teams, both their power play and their penalty kill, was their weakness last year. So the goal for Scott Arniel as he was coming in was to continue everything that was working for them defensively. This is still the Rick Bowness system, guys, and the Jets are playing that. What they tried to add, what they went out and got Dean Chenoweth and Davis Payne to do is to supplement the penalty kill and the power play, and that's exactly what's happened. So last year, this Jets team, as good as they were, 4th overall in the NHL at the end of the year, had terrible special teams, and it was costing them games. Now they've flipped that. It's winning them games. So a very capable Jets team last year that I take a look at this schedule, and I think they probably would have gone 6-2-0 or something like that in these first couple of games. They're getting that power play, scoring those extra goals, and it's just putting them more on the right side of the ledger. This power play feels like it can't miss right now. So you need to come in with a good game plan. Can't remember which team it was, guys, but one of the opposition teams came in and you could see, okay, these coaches did their homework. They are finding a way to shut down this power play. But even if you do your homework and you're trying to shut down that first line that includes, Nick Ehlers and Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele and Josh Morrissey, what's happened is the second power play unit is coming out and it's doing its job. They won against Calgary because the second power play unit scores a goal. Cole Perfetti scores the game winner against Calgary. So what you're seeing there is the first power play goes out with this very definitive kind of philosophy, and then you throw out the second power play unit and it's got a different philosophy. And what you see happen is it's like the team that's defending the power play is like, okay, we figured out this first power play, and now all of a sudden it's like you're given a test in an entirely different language because everything's changed and what they're doing has changed. What they're trying to do has changed. So it's not just that they've been effective, it's that it's kind of like a two-headed monster. And just when you think you figured out the second, the first, you better be ready to figure out the second. And most teams haven't been so far.
Sean, this is like an annual question at this point, but Nick Ehlers is tied for the team lead in points. He's tied for second on the team lead in shots. He plays 15 minutes a game, 15-30. Well, it's an annual thing. Just like this guy seems to be the best player in the league that the coaches don't want to play. What are we missing here? Is he going to stick around in Winnipeg?
Those are two different questions.
Okay,
so
let's do the first one, please.
Let's start with what we're missing. So this one was baffled people for years, and then what was revealed to us by Rick Bowness last year is if they don't take a look at his time on ice, they look at the amount of shifts that he's given. And so what you would find typically if you compare Nick Ehlers' shifts to the rest of the players on his team, they're quite comparable. But Nick Ehlers does one thing and has done so consistently is he goes out, burns his way around the ice, and then he gets off in short order. There was a perfect example of this 2 games ago against Seattle, where he goes out, Josh Morrissey jumps into the play, he gets the puck to Nick Ehlers. Nick Ehlers does a drop pass and turns it over, but busts over, breaks that up, and catches the Seattle Kraken sleeping, gets the puck in the zone, and rather than going to the slot and trying to capitalize on the chaos that he's created, he skates over to the bench and changes. Most players wouldn't do that. I've created an opportunity in the offensive zone. I'm going to benefit from my own work. Nick Ehlers gets off the ice. Kyle Connor steps out on the ice, gets the puck, shoots and scores, right? That's what makes him a valuable player, even if you don't see it, because his details are right. He's not a selfish player, and he basically is saying, I don't need more ice time. I just want my shifts, and I want to leave my team in a good spot. So the coaches will tell you Nick Ehlers gets the same amount of opportunity as everyone else when it comes to shifts. He's just really responsible at turning and burning and doing it the right way. Now, do you want to set up the next thing, or should I just launch into whether or not
let's just put a comma in there and carry on?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's launch into that. Nick Ehlers, I take a look at this. The one thing I will say, despite the fact he's given those opportunities, if you remember last year, there was a point of time where Kyle Connor was injured. He got his knee, someone stuck out a knee on him. He was out for a while, and you see that Ehlers goes onto a line with Mark Scheifele and Gabe Vilardi, and they tear up the league, guys. They are on fire. They are burning everything up. And there was one point I had a conversation with him, and it kind of dawned on me. I've been covering this team for a long time, and I said, you know what? This is weird, but I feel like I don't have a book on you and you playing with Mark Scheifele. That seems odd. They'd been on the same team for like 8 years, guys, both of them in the top 6, and we didn't know what a top 6 winger looked like with one of the top 2 centers.
Right.
Why? Because he almost never gets that opportunity to play with Mark Scheifele. And the times where he's proven he would be very good with him, when the other player gets back, typically Kyle Connor, then he gets booted off that line. So I feel like from that conversation, Nick Ehlers was a little like, right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And so I do think that while you can give an explanation of why his ice time is short and why he may not be being as shortchanged as the league thinks, I still do think Nick Ehlers is a bit of an unexplored talent here in Winnipeg. I think that he believes that. And I do think the idea of going to unrestricted free agency and going around the league and looking, I wonder if these guys would really dig into what my true overall potential is. That may be pretty hard to turn down. Put it this way, guys. I think Nick Ehlers looks at a guy like Kyle Connor and says, if I had every opportunity Kyle Connor had, I wonder what my numbers would look like. And maybe that answer lies outside of Winnipeg.
So does that mean he stays or he goes?
Well, hey, we thought that Mark Scheifele was gone. We thought that Connor Hellebuck was gone. They found a way to make them stay. We know a team like Winnipeg isn't high on losing talent, so they'll want to keep them, and they can offer that extra year. In the end, though, the difference between those players is that Connor Hellebuck, Mark Scheifele have been given every single opportunity under the sun in Winnipeg, and Nick Ehlers has not. They're trying to rectify that this year. I don't know if it's too late, but I would say if I'm a betting man, guys, I think he waits out the string and then he goes around the league looking to see what Nick Ehlers' true value is.
The play of Cole Perfetti has been a bright spot, I think. Has this been everything you expected out of him this season, taking a step?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. I was joking. I was on Toronto radio the other day, and I said, I always know when I'm talking to people in the East because Cole Perfetti is like the biggest thing. Like, I won't name names, but one of our analysts basically said the Jets were in trouble this year, and if they do well, it will be because of the emergence of Cole Perfetti. I've said this before. You take a look up and down the Jets roster. Cole Perfetti is probably 10th in importance on this entire roster. Their third line, 1, 2, 3, you got to put ahead of them. Their top line, 1, 2, 3, you got to put ahead of them. Nick Ehlers is probably ahead of them. Josh Morrissey is definitely ahead of them. Connor Hellebuck is definitely ahead of them. Add it all up, he's like the 10th most important guy on this team. That said, Cole Perfetti has a lot that he can offer. Last year, for a part of the season, he was a point per game guy. And then he went entirely asleep and was basically a 3 points in 22 games guy. So I think the difference between the two of those, and I think it'll show in what we've seen from him this year. No points in his first 4 games, and then he plays the San Jose Sharks, and he destroys them, 4 points, right? And then he goes and he plays a defensively kind of deficient. I look at the St. Louis Blues, and I think they just don't want to grind. They play run and gun hockey. Cole Perfetti comes out, he's got another 3-point night. So he's got 8 points in 8 games, but 5 of those games he's been held pointless. I would usually suggest the difference between him getting points and not getting points is the harder of a grind that he faces, the less likely he is to get points. But if you're playing loose and wide open, he's surgical. He'll slice and dice you, and he'll do it from distance. What I see from him is the way he gets over that is when he gets a little more engaged, when he drives to the front of the net, when he gets dirty, when he tries to create different kinds of offense rather than picking the defense apart from distance. That's just another toolkit, and it makes it less likely for him to be shut down by those teams that just aren't going to let you slice and dice them from distance. So I saw a little bit of that. I thought his game-winning goal against Calgary was a little bit of that, even though it's on the power play. If he can get into more of that and add different kinds of offense to what he's capable of, we already know he is elite at tearing you apart from distance when the other team isn't overly interested in playing defense, if he can start adding to be that grinding kind of player that still gets his points when the other team is really trying to focus and not let you get those points, he could become a hell of a threat and really move up that order of importance that I referred to at the top of the answer.
Niederreiter, Lowry, and Mason Appleton now regarded as the best third line in hockey here.
Islanders used to have that identity line. Feels like this is the new version, the upgraded version.
So where are they in the importance of this start?
Oh, number one. And to be honest with you, I don't even think it's close, because I think we were looking Mark Scheifele's line that keeps going out, and you got to give them credit for this, guys. They keep going out and scoring the biggest goals in the biggest moments. And when they play the other team's stars, they're the star. That's what you have stars for, right, Kyper? Like, you need those guys to show up in the biggest moments, and they've done that. They've also been outscored, I believe, 7-2 at 5-on-5, right? So I'm a big believer pacing matters. So even though they're out on the ice and they're getting scored on, the pacing that they're playing in is making them ready to go win that game when it's time. But what keeps this team in a position to win games night after night is the fact that the third line, A, is outscoring its opposition at an alarming rate, but B, that when the Jets fall down in games, and I believe they've been scored on first 5 of their 8 games, it's that line that just goes out, ends the other team's momentum, doesn't allow goals to pile up on this team, makes it a grind, often gets the other team to quit because they just don't. Hey, you saw when they played Pittsburgh earlier on. Pittsburgh started the game and they were getting to run and gun and they loved it. And then when the Jets turned it into a grind, those guys were like, we don't want to do this. Forget it. You want it that bad, go take it, right? The third line wants it that bad. Night in, night out. Doesn't matter if it's February or if it's the beginning of October. They want to outcompete you. The third line is the secret sauce of the Winnipeg Jets, and the biggest reason by far they are 8-0 right now.
Kip, I got to tell you, that sounds like Leafs kryptonite to me.
So one more, Sean, before I let you go, and it's around Adam Lowry, and tonight you're going to see the Toronto Maple Leafs and a C on Austin Matthews. Austin Matthews is their best player. He's the face of the franchise. Debatable whether or not they should have taken the C off of Tavares or not. That's for other people to talk about, but it's clearly you're the best player. You're the captain. This is not the Winnipeg Jets. If that was the case, we'd see Scheifele with it, Morrissey with it, Ehlers with it. The decision to go to Adam Lowry as the captain, and so far it looks okay, but what makes him, in your opinion, a good captain or a great one right now?
Well, the Jets were that system before. Blake Wheeler wore the C. He was their best player. He got the letter. And you're right. I had thought there was a really good chance they were going to put Josh Morrissey as the captain at the beginning, guys. I thought it was a mistake that they went with Adam Lowry, and I've been proved entirely wrong. The importance of Adam Lowry comes in a number of things. A, the Jets talked about needing to change their culture over after Paul Maurice left, and Adam Lowry has been central to that because he's humble, he's hardworking, he's easily approachable, he's a really nice guy, so there's not one person in that dressing room that would feel alienated by Adam Lowry. And I think that a lot of people over the years did feel alienated in that Jets dressing room. But beyond that, the importance of that becomes that the blueprint that the Jets have tried to set up, the Rick Bowness blueprint that they still are using to this day, it's hard. It's hard to play. Rick Bowness talked about this. Guys don't want to do it. It's a grind. So you need leaders to kind of show the way. And that third line has shown time and time again that in games where the Jets come out, I thought the beginning against Seattle was like this. It was like this to a degree against Calgary. They come out and they don't have their fastball. Lowry comes out and Appleton comes out and Niederreiter come out and they grind and they grind and they grind and they keep grinding until everyone kind of starts grinding. They're the motorboat that everyone else is rolling in their wake right now. So that's why Lowry is so important, because he never gives up on his team. He's always putting in the hard work that is demanded of this team if it's going to play this system. And beyond that, they've got a knack too of scoring really big goals at really big times. So he kills penalties. He does it all. Great with the media. There's nothing that this guy doesn't do outside of having superstar level talent. But you get the feeling it's easier to follow a guy who's not superstar level talent, but gets so much more out of himself than he probably should, compared to someone who just seems like he's going out there and it just naturally comes to him. He was born with it. He was blessed with it. Yeah, they do hard work, but are they doing the hard work when we're down 4-1 kind of thing? Adam Lowry is always doing his homework. He's the class president.
Terrific stuff, man. Thanks for doing this, Sean. Have fun tonight.
Anytime,
covering
guys.
the game.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. See you
Great
later.
hat. Enjoy the night.
Sean Reynolds,
Thank you.
Sportsnet reporter in Winnipeg, co-host of Ken and Rennie.
Did we even ask him about Connor Hellebuck? Who's
No.
not 940 save
No,
percentage.
didn't mention it. Listen.
6 starts, giving up 10 goals.
Great regular season goaltender.
Ooh.
Yes.
That was a Canadian
It was ugly.
slight.
It was absolutely ugly for him in the first round versus Colorado. So
As a hat guy, that's a beauty.
So I was a Spurs fan when I was young,
Really?
just because I liked the logo. As a kid, you
Yeah.
pick logos
Awesome.
you like.
Yeah, I like the Sharks. When I was
So
a kid.
usually I'm the type of guy that says that you need your captain to be probably a little bit more skilled than an Adam Lowry, but like it's working there, and he does reek of character, but he's the real deal when it comes to true character, and that's probably because his dad had a ton of it too. I got to compete against his dad in junior and at the pro level. Dave Lowry, like solid quality guy off the ice.
Sometimes
the
it's
ice.
not Maybelline. Sometimes they really are born with it. That really is a big part of it for him. But I do wonder, there's a level you have to be at play-wise to be able to speak up in the room. And so
Yeah.
a random name that comes up. Remember, Andrew Ference became the 7th D for the Oilers for a while. And it's like, if you're not involved on the ice, you can't speak up in the room. You have to play at a certain level. And I think part of it with Tavares in Toronto got to that point where it was like, in the biggest moments, they weren't looking to him anymore, right? They were looking to Austin.
But Tavares, he didn't carry a presence for the Toronto Maple Leafs from day one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you don't
Nice
think?
guy.
Yeah.
Right? Nice guy, but quiet guy. Doesn't say too much. Lacks emotion.
Yeah.
And those are pretty important pieces here.
Yeah. If I may, I think in hockey, we all too
Pajama boy.
often associate seriousness with professionalism. Like someone who just kind of takes the job seriously is like, oh, that guy, you got to be like him because look at him. And it's like, some people are just quieter, a little bit more reserved. And John might be that, where he's just, that's his personality.
Luckily, I wear this magical amulet.
Where's the magical amulet?
So, do you have to be a full-on grump?
well,
Like
that's the thing.
McDavid
I think
and-
this is
and
how we
McKinnon?
make coaches often get hired because they come off as grumps. See Steve Stais interviews in Ottawa all the time. It's like, this guy,
Well, it depends on who you're coming off to.
yeah, it's
Right?
true.
If you were a happy-go-lucky guy, then you want the grump.
Yeah.
So it's where you are following what you've just experienced a while ago.
People do
But
that with dating partners.
but
But
like-
real world.
Lowry plays 14 minutes a night, 15 minutes a night. I don't think he's not a 17 guy. He's not a 19 guy. He's not 21 on some nights.
15-28, Kip. He's got 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points in 8
Right.
games.
So, but it's enough to influence a hockey game,
Mm-hmm.
clearly.
The Jets have 8 guys at a point per
and
game.
he's an emotional
This
guy,
one.
right? He'll grab somebody.
Oh, he'll grab
he'll-
someone. He's a big man.
He fought somebody. There was a moment of last year. I wish I could remember who it was, but he hammered a guy, and then the guy came after him, and then he beat the crap out of him, and the other guy got an instigator. I don't know who it was. I wish I could remember,
fun.
but it's him.
And he can
his-
score. He can score. He could
Yeah.
finish plays.
Not too many captains like him around the league. If you look around
Well-
league-wide, it's like, oh, it's Nico Hischier because he's, a serious person who, plays some defense.
Well, I'm looking down the list of captains, and it's it is interesting. I don't think everybody, not all the teams have their best player as a captain. I don't know. We don't need to go through all the teams.
No, but let's give us some names.
Okay, so this list starts with the Anaheim
The
Ducks.
shocker of shockers.
Radko Gudas is the captain of the Ducks. I wouldn't say he's their best player.
That's a real reflection on
And
your
kind
team.
of looked like Trouba on the weekend.
Hammered Sam Carrick. Oh my God.
By the way,
Great
Carrick was on
hit.
the Marlies when I was there. Carrick is a human refrigerator. He is a big dude.
That was
Yeah.
a great hit. Brad Marchand. Not the Boston Bruins best player, but
presence,
Yeah.
presence,
But
and
he's been
attitude.
that.
And he's never looked more of like a captain than wearing the fact that he
The coach
hasn't been
giving it to
very
him.
good, and he owned it.
this is a perfect example. I'm not going to go through all the teams,
Right.
but here's a perfect example. Jordan Stahl is the captain of the Hurricanes,
Perfect.
right? That's like an example
Same
of what
with
you're talking
Nick Foligno,
about.
Chicago.
Yeah, but that's just like he's the oldest guy, and everybody loves him. Like, there's not a person. You're not going to find many people, maybe outside of some Leaf fans. For
Yeah,
what
looking
happened here,
for
but
some
everyone-
one-offs like that. There's not too many.
Anders
Boone
Lee,
Jenner.
Anders Lee in New York.
I don't know who else you'd give it to there.
Yeah.
Braden Shen.
Yeah, so like but
Mostly it's the best player.
Yeah.
Ovechkin.
Mark Stone leading the league in points,
That's bizarre.
Captain.
captain, Team
Captain.
Canada,
Yeah.
maybe assistant.
Yeah. Listen, Matthews can develop into a good captain. He's clearly got to learn a few things here first moving forward.
But the question you may ask is, was it the time to do it in the middle of the most important time ever to start to teach him?
If you
With a new
guys
coach.
think Tavares not having the C and Matthews not having the C has affected this season one goal for their team or against, you're out of your mind.
Just imagine now the drop-off that Tavares has experienced in Toronto, and he's still wearing the C.
Yeah. It probably
Like,
raises
it's a great
the
point.
temperature on him.
He's pretty close to not being on a power play, and I don't know how much it gets past that. If he's not on the power play and he's not contributing 5-on-5, then how far is he from a healthy scratch?
Oh, I don't know.
You guys okay?
The heck of a suggestion. It's the
Cat's got my tongue.
we're all offended for Tavares, but
Cat's got
I
my
get your
tongue.
point. The Leafs don't have a second line center, and that's saving Tavares right now because Max Domi's not it. Holmberg's not it.
And guess who's doing it? The second line center tonight.
Is it Tavares?
It's Tavares with Willie Nylander and Max Pacioretty, baby.
Maybe,
look at
maybe,
this.
maybe your keys are in. Have you checked your pocket from your jeans
no,
yesterday?
they're not there.
Yeah, try there again.
Game time?
Game time,
It's
baby.
just something that we haven't really looked at much.
That's a great drop.
All right. It's game time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. 3 things for you tonight. First thing, we're going to talk about it a little bit in news and notes, but Steven Stamkos returns to Tampa Bay to take on the team that he was the captain of, one of their all-time great players, the all-time great player, best player in franchise history, 2 cups, leading goal scorer.
Bringing his raw, exposed feelings. Where does this rank on the scale of like Brett Favre playing for the Vikings sort of thing, where you just like
Vikings were a rival.
Yeah, that's what I
if he
mean,
coming
like-
home with the Leafs would be different or something.
I appreciate that it's not a rival, but it does still feel like I'm going somewhere else to show you, to spite
sure.
you.
Yep.
The feelings seem very hurt.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let him go, and then we'll
And then we'll talk
get
about this later.
way more into it.
But Steven Stamkos, anytime goal tonight, plus 160. Love him scoring in his return.
Bet
Seems like
it.
something that might happen tonight.
Edit. Motivated, good goal scorer.
The San Jose Sharks have yet to win.
They may never win.
They're plus 230.
They might go 0-82.
They're
I know
playing
they've got
against the
some
Utah Hockey Club tonight. They got to win eventually.
No,
boys.
they don't.
They got to win eventually.
They are so bad. We suck.
Tonight's the night, boys. Tonight's the night against the Utah Hockey Club. And finally, the World Series returns to New York. Hitting third for the New York Yankees is Aaron Judge. There is a potential that Aaron Judge could get booed in his return to
Swing and a miss rate of 43%.
He has been
never seen before in
awful.
baseball playoffs.
Like, yes, boo him. There's actually a chance that he could get booed. I think tonight he rewrites the script and he hits a home run. Big moment for him. Big moment for the Yankees. Give me an Aaron Judge anytime homer at plus 225.
No, not a chance. Not a chance.
Short porch, shoots it to right.
I haven't watched a lot of baseball playoffs, but like that Freddie home run to win the game.
I had to say, we had
Goes over to his parents. Like,
We had an unbelievable sports
Forget
weekend.
about who you're cheering for a second, Yankees. That is a great sport moment.
he'll have to find him for the rest of his life.
Listen, on Friday night, that was one of the best baseball games I've seen, period.
Yeah.
It was just back and forth nature. Awesome game. And then Sunday afternoon, late afternoon, around 6:30 p.m., we get an absolutely amazing Hail Mary from Jaden Daniels in the Commanders-Bears game. Sports are awesome, boys.
Sports, one of my favorite things.
Sports are very good. I could watch sports all day long. and I
How
do.
about
New York
the
Jets?
cornerback. No, don't talk about the Jets. The cornerback on Chicago waving to
Stevenson, what's his name?
waving to the Washington Commanders fans like we got the game, and he's not even aware the play's happening.
Maybe
Hail Mary scored behind
maybe
him.
one of the
worst things you've ever seen.
Yeah.
I think that's like a post game. You cut him before he gets to his
But
car.
you're not up 2 or 3 touchdowns.
The game is you only play your position like for 100 minutes a year.
And would you like to know whose hand the ball touched last before it landed in Noah Brown's hand? It was that guy.
His.
All right, that was Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. We should have a non-hockey take corner at the end of our show for 2 minutes.
I'm into it.
You like that idea?
How about we do Jersey
Hey,
Hour where we talk about Jersey?
We've never
Kip
done
loves that.
anything in 2 minutes.
That's a great
okay.
point. Great point. Great point. 5. All right.
But we need a break.
Yep.
And as Sammy teed up, Steven Stamkos set for an emotional return in Tampa Bay. We'll get into that more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. This hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365 as we go down the stretch run before 8 games on tap in the National Hockey League, including 5 that have Canadian matchups.
Yes, I am on the television doing some intermissions tonight with Danielle Michaud. Should be good.
Should be great.
Attaboy.
One of those 8 games include the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Nashville Predators. Steven Stamkos going back to Tampa.
Going.
And
back.
This one's going to be a tough one to get through. We've seen scenarios over the years of guys going back in town, getting the video tribute. Some of them very, very deserving. I can't think of a more deserving video tribute.
What if they did?
Than Steven Stamkos in Tampa Bay. This one's going to be a tearjerker.
The Leafs did some
Engvall
wild
in Toronto. Pretty. Pierre Engvall got one in Toronto. I'd just like to remind people.
But you play one game and
He's
you
been
get
waived by the
you play one game, you could get a video tribute now in the NHL.
And who was it that didn't? Was it Dubas who didn't when he came back? Not that I do a video, I guess, for a GM, but
No, there'll never be one for him as
you don't
long
think
as
so, no?
Well, one day. A lot of people got to leave.
But yeah, so I am curious. We have Steven Stamkos, right, Sammy?
Yeah, we got a clip from him. It's returning to Tampa, Steven Stamkos.
I don't know what to expect, really. It's not something that you really know, I think, until you go through it. It's, I've got that question a lot leading up to this game, and obviously the excitement level to be back in the city and in this building where, like I said, there's been so many amazing memories for a really long time. So I'm sure the emotions will kick in as game time approaches and you get it on the ice, and it'll be special for sure.
One of my favorite things that I've written for Sportsnet was a full breakdown of the 2 minutes and 39 seconds he played that one Stanley Cup playoff run where he got himself back on the ice and scored a big goal against Dallas.
High short side too.
What a shot.
Beautiful goal.
There's big memories here.
It's going to be, in all honesty, he didn't say it, but it's like, just get this thing over with. That's,
I think,
yes.
Who do you think he's most mad at? And is it Julien Brisebois?
Oh, gosh. Probably.
Do you think he's mad at Cooper, or is not Cooper's role to sign him to a contract?
No, that's an upstairs decision.
Yeah.
Right? And that includes ownership, too, because ownership can override and say, I want this guy back, and this is what I'm willing to do. And I'm not saying like it was like Ovi's last contract in Washington with the owner.
What happened there?
Well, just the owner said,
you're bringing him back.
He's coming back, and this is what it's going to take, and we're going to be here for him when he sets his record. So that's really out of the hands at that point. For a guy of that magnitude, that's out of the hands of the general manager.
40 times last year. What do you think his stat line is through 8 games?
I was just going to ask you that very question.
Because it's noteworthy. I'll go and tell you if you like.
Yeah, it's not a pretty start.
1-0 for 1 point.
Yeah.
-7.
Yeah,
so
it's not pretty. It's and it's reflective of the start that Nashville's had.
Yeah, I mean he's a great player and a great Canadian. You know, he's
my-
well loved here.
My first thought when he goes to Nashville, they don't have a Kucherov. And
No.
I can appreciate Philip Forsberg, and I can appreciate Jonathan Marchand, what he's done in Vegas. But let me say that again to you. There is no Kucherov,
Yeah.
Kucherov ain't walking through that door.
No.
right?
Yeah.
And
Nick Backstrom ain't walking
Or-
through that door.
Braden Point and a few of them. And when you've got this rhythm, when you got this dance going, especially with him on that wall waiting for a one-timer, and his only goal has been a one-timer, right? But it's out of sync right now, and it may take him 20 games. Who knows how long it takes for him to find some chemistry with some of these guys. Nyquist.
Yeah, listen, it's a tough thing. So I thought last year Nashville, they had this kind of like scrappy, no one believes in us thing. I was one of the people who didn't believe in them. I was like looking at their lineup, Tommy Novak and Colton Sissons, and they win 18 in a row or don't lose in 18 games or whatever.
Points in 18 games straight.
Yeah, and then they try this year to like, all right, let's inject some names into this lineup. O'Reilly, Marchand, and Stamkos. I don't think that's going to get it done for them. They are starting to win some hockey games. It's coming around a little bit, but they are struggling to find what their identity is with this new mix. They are no longer a scrappy underdog. There's some expectations now.
How's your boy Saros that you wanted to see last year in a Leaf uniform?
I don't think great.
It's been okay. He's 908 save percentage.
Ah,
Not a total dog.
That's okay. Listen, that was before I knew of the great Anthony Stolar. So
Great.
how could
Stolar.
I say anything bad, now that he's here?
But yeah, that is a must-watch game tonight, so tune in to that one.
Marchand?
Marchand? Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Scores the game-winning goal against the Toronto Maple Leafs Saturday night.
First of the season.
Our Elliot Friedman on Saturday night reported that he thought that a deal was getting close. It was kind of cut off at the knees by Brad Marchand alone by saying that that's not the case.
Always
Listen,
an agitator.
and I will say this, one time being that guy as a newsbreaker, there's going to be times when you throw something out there and someone may want to squash it for various reasons. Sometimes they tell the truth. Sometimes they skew the truth. And sometimes they're just lying through their teeth. We'll see where this plays out and where it goes. But
It would not be shocking if Marchand signed.
where are you with Marchand and the Boston Bruins? Personally, where do you think that this thing can go? Because
Steven
he's
Stamkos.
not 32 or 34. He'll be turning, I think, 37.
And when
soon.
he's not a toolsy guy, right? Not big, not fast, not an overpowering shot. He does it with craftiness and finding every edge and advantage he can as you get a little older and the game picks up. It's going to be harder for him to find those edges. I said Steven Stamkos because I do believe that there is, with a lot of these guys, ego involved in, God, look at Aaron Rodgers in the NFL right now. It's like no one believes they're done who's been great. And Brad Marchand is going to, I'm sure he thinks he's a player who wants a couple of bucks. I'm not sure if it's still there for him or not, but I don't think he's going to sign for another discount because he's been underpaid for years.
Can I tell you that I didn't notice him until he shoveled the puck in the net for the Leafs? Against the Leafs, sorry?
Right.
Maybe shoveling a few in the net for the Leafs next year, too, maybe.
What do you think, Kim?
I think the Boston Bruins they have to resign him.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. And
He's a beloved
I do believe that
long-time.
Elliot's right when he said that it needs to be a 3-year deal. I think, again, at his age, minimum is 3 years. He's going to want the third year. The question is like, what's he worth to you now as a captain still and as a guy that's supposed to lead a team that thinks that they can win a Stanley Cup this season?
I mean, he's not John Tavares, right? Like, he is a emotionally involved motivator, yell at the bench. He's got other elements of that I think, for them.
We loved his comments. Didn't he say about, like, why
Coach
is everybody
gave it to him and he said,
why are people so sensitive now? Is that the world we live in? Everybody needs to have their feelings hurt. I love that.
Yeah. No, I do too. And I think it's, it's a little bit old school to that. And I think it sends a message to the rest of your team that if I can take it, you should be able to take it, and let's just move on. There's nothing to see here.
But you got Pasternak, you got McAvoy. Then they go make a huge commitment to trading for Lindholm out of Anaheim. And then they go and sign the other Lindholm. Zadorov. Like, this team's got to win the Stanley Cup now, and he has to be the captain now. How do you let him walk out the door in July?
So what do you think?
Yeah, you're
$5 million?
You're right. You can't let him.
No.
$5 million a year then?
No, keep going.
Higher.
That's not getting it done.
What does he? I mean,
Not last week. Listen, I wrote in my Toronto Star article on Thursdays that in my notes that it didn't appear to me as of last week, and this is well before Elliott reported what he did Saturday night, that Boston didn't appear in a big hurry right now to get this done. And again, anything can change overnight, during the week. A lot of things can change, and maybe they bridge something. Clearly, Elliott's talked to somebody.
Right.
So the question is now, what do you think at his age if his production's gone down? And to your point, he feels like he's been on a discount all these years at 6'1".
Robbed.
Feels like he has.
Yeah.
He has.
Massive.
So
It's like Bautista in Toronto.
me personally, I think the number for 3 years is between 7 and 8.
I mean, last year he scored 30 goals. He's a 29
Right.
goals specifically, almost 70 points in 82 games. Playoffs, he's a point per game guy.
Yeah.
Going back to previous years, his point production is maintained in playoffs like few players.
Yeah.
I mean,
If
the question is this:
if the ask is $24 million times for 3 years,
it's a bad deal for Boston, but they owe him.
but they may be in a position where they got to give it to this guy. He's just
Well, maybe they do like his fellow Nova Scotian, be like 6.3, just like 8.7, maybe, like his number.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I actually think that's a pretty reasonable number in contract, but it sounds like other people would like it higher.
repeat that.
6.3, like Sid goes 8.7, like his jersey number.
And he was born in
If
1963.
if you can convince him that.
Did you happen to see Garnet Hathaway hammer Joel Eriksson-Ek with an elbow without the puck, blindside? You
No,
didn't?
I didn't see
Okay.
that.
Okay.
No.
Well, I'm just telling you, if
You
a Leaf
liked it?
if a Leaf did it,
thought it was.
if a Leaf
He
did it, he'd been
wanted to give
kicked
you a
out.
Leaf
Yeah.
take on it.
Yeah.
That's all. That had a Leaf done it.
If they've been kicked off,
ejected to the moon.
they've been kicked off the tour.
You end our national show on a Leaf thought on somebody else's suspension.
But this is exactly. It wasn't even a suspension. This was fine. But this is exactly the problem. It happens in a Sunday Minnesota Wild Philadelphia Flyers game on a
That gets
Sunday
lost.
afternoon.
And you're saying
no
it
one's
gets
paying
lost.
attention. But if tonight on Amazon, I don't know who, David Camp goes bang and hits somebody with an elbow in the face, he's getting suspended for 3 games.
3 years.
The only thing you have me at is there's more eyeballs.
Yeah, there
Okay,
is, and people
there
are
is.
talking about it. So.
And people talk about it more.
And George Peros loves the Wild and the Flyers, and he hates the Leafs. So.
Right now, there are 11 teams in the NHL that are at 500 record by points percentage. Buffalo, Toronto, Detroit, Montreal, Boston, Edmonton, Seattle, Utah, Ottawa, the Islanders, Columbus.
I see
11 teams are 500.
I see that pack sliding right into Christmas, right into February.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah.
There's a couple names that are going to tease out of there. The Oilers are not going to be 500. Columbus is not going to be 500. They actually play tonight. They could go in different directions.
Specifically, though, that Eastern Conference, the Atlantic. Like, Ottawa had a bad loss against Vegas for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really bad.
Ottawa's last in the division,
They should've-
and they're at 8 points in 8
They
games.
gave that game away.
Allmark had a chat with Dr. Seasonoff after that game.
Yeah, he's not happy.
Nick Cousins with maybe one of the dumbest penalties I've seen this early in the season.
He does that.
He is known to do that.
But that division, the Atlantic, to your point, every single team in the Atlantic division is 500 or better. That's correct. All 8 teams, which is wild. Oh, really only Florida's pulling away from 500, though, in any significant way. So, obviously, lots of hockey season left there. Okay, tonight, around the NHL,
What do you got for us, son? You're You're on at 6:30.
No, we're just doing intermissions. So
Just intermissions
Oilers Blue Jackets 7:00 game, and then Vancouver Carolina at 10 p.m.
Boy, did Leon Draisaitl have a game on his birthday?
Yeah, I mean, I love watching him play hockey. Motivated individual. Flames also play the Golden Knights tonight in Vegas at 10 p.m. So a lot of
That's
Canadian
a good
teams in
test
action.
for them, eh?
It is, yeah. I think some things are getting sorted out right now.
All in all, 8 games tonight. Enjoy the one that you pick, and we're back tomorrow on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. If you get a chance, give us a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. Give us your thoughts on Sammy squeezing in a Leaf conversation on the National Hour.
Oh, yeah, you guys aren't doing it at all. Talking about Matthews' captaincy in the National Hour.
Have a good one, everybody.